Are you putting off speaking Portuguese because you want to get it just right first? Maybe you're thinking, I need to know more vocabulary, or I should master all the verb conjugations before I embarrass myself. If this sounds like you, then perfectionism might be the biggest barrier standing between you and actually speaking Portuguese. My name is Liz and I've taught hundreds of students to overcome this exact mindset. So today I want to share why ditching perfectionism is absolutely essential for making progress in Portuguese, and how one of my students went from being paralyzed by perfectionism to having hour-long phone conversations in Portuguese.
And I am a perfectionist, so to the point where it can stop me from moving forward. And I was worried that I would be so worried about saying something wrong that I just wouldn't say anything. And to get me to actually speak Portuguese to a Portuguese speaker, that was going to be a ginormous hurdle for me.
Sound familiar? This is my student Emil, and she was stuck in the perfectionism trap, and it's keeping so many of you guys stuck on the sidelines in Portugal. So here's the brutal truth. Perfectionism isn't actually about having high standards, it's just another word for procrastination. You will never feel ready, so you need to do it scared. I know this because I was the world's biggest perfectionist, and guess what? I would not have nearly 120,000 subscribers and hundreds of students if I was trying to make my YouTube videos perfect or my teaching perfect. I learned that progress is better than perfection, and once I allowed myself to do things imperfectly, they actually got done. And that's exactly what Emil did, and progressed to being able to use her Portuguese effortlessly in everyday situations.
Liz, I can get around.
Yes.
I can get around the city. I can take cabs. I can get directions. I can order in restaurants. I can ask questions. I navigated a hospital.
So here's what I told Emil and what I tell all of my students when they join my course. And I want you to burn this into your brain. Until you focus on everything as just practice, it doesn't matter if you're getting things wrong. That's actually the only way you're going to progress. When my students join my course, I show them this graphic and this quote from Naval Ravikant: "Impatience with actions, patience with the results." It really helps you visualize what a realistic journey learning to master something new looks like. You're going to have to do many actions over and over again before you actually start to see results. And that's why you need to fall in love with the process and not be obsessed with the final result. In this case, the final result is you speaking Portuguese well enough without making mistakes, but you're only going to get to that stage if you do this process over and over and over and over again, speaking with real people. Because here's the thing, I know that in this day and age, you might think you can just practice with AI or with apps, and it can work to some extent, but until you're face to face with a human, feeling all of the nerves rise up and managing to control them and managing to retrieve what you want to say from your head, that is the only way you're going to master it. Otherwise, it would be like training for a marathon and only running on a treadmill in your living room and then showing up on race day and being shocked that the real thing feels completely different. So let me tell you how Emil overcame this perfectionism trap. When she started, she had never learned another language before and she was terrified of making mistakes. So what did she do? She learned to embrace being bad at Portuguese first.
You can think about it, but if you want to do something, you put in and you get out, but you have to put in the effort to get out any progress. Right. You just have to do it. And you just have to know that you're going to sound like a baby, a toddler for a long time, and nobody cares but you.
So once she had embraced this idea, she went on the hunt for someone to practice Portuguese with that she could also help with their English. And that's how she found her learning partner, Katia, and where they ended up having 1-hour phone conversations in Portuguese. Progress Emil couldn't even have imagined at the beginning.
So I finally got up the nerve. And when you get up the nerve, you better act really fast. Otherwise, you'll lose it, right? So I texted Mafalda, who is our realtor and a friend. And I said, okay, I'm late on this, but you happen to know anybody who's trying to learn English and would be interested in having weekly calls with me where I can help them with English, they can help me with Portuguese. And she immediately texted back and said, my good friend and my partner, Katya, she was just asking me this. She also is trying to, help herself with English. And anyway, Mafalda was going to send Katya to England for a couple of weeks, and that wasn't going to do enough. And so I think it was like the next day, we were ready to meet the next day. And that was in September only of last year. And I'm so excited. Every time I speak with her, I'm happy the rest of the day. And I am so lucky because of the community I've been able to build with Mafalda and with Katya. And it's just amazing. And we teach each other expressions. I'll give an example. I needed to look up a word. She said a word and I didn't know what she was talking about. So I'm like, I wanted to say, hold on, but I don't know how to say hold on. And so she taught me how to say hold on in Portuguese, but she didn't know how to say it in English. And so now we have this big joke where she'll be like, hold on. And it's continued, for months, because it's just one of those things that that we laughed really hard about. And there's been a lot of those. So it's just building on each conversation and getting to know each other more and more. And it's just been an incredible experience and helps me feel more confident in speaking, helps her feel more confident in speaking.
So here's what you can take away from Emil's situation. Confidence doesn't come before action, it comes after. So now when she visits Portugal, she's excited to speak, but only because she took that giant leap of faith and started her speaking practice before she felt ready. So here's your action plan to ditch perfectionism. First of all, change that mindset. Instead of, I need everything to be perfect, just think, everything is practice and done is better than perfect. Everything is an iterative process. Second, manage your expectations. You're going to sound like a beginner for a while, and that's completely normal. When we know better, we do better, but nobody expects you to know everything off the bat. Third, start before you feel ready. All of those excuses, my memory's not good enough, I don't know enough verbs, I haven't got anyone to practice with, they all come down to the fact that you're worried you're not good enough and that you're going to make mistakes. So get rid of that mindset. It is your biggest barrier to success. So I hope now you want to stop letting perfectionism rob you of amazing experiences in Portugal. I want you to start speaking imperfectly today, because it's the only way you are ever going to eventually speak well. If you need help building the foundation so that you can start speaking with confidence, I do have a free 60-minute lesson for beginners linked in the description. It's designed to get you speaking Portuguese today, bravely and imperfectly. Also, if you want to check out my full interview with my student Emil, I will link that in the description below for you. I will be back next week with more tips and tutorials to improve your confidence and conversation skills in Portuguese, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a thing. Ciao for now.